So those are like the medical numbers that give you a much more accurate picture of your health and your risks for health problems than the weight on the scale. Hit me, producer Potts.
Dr. Sarah, you said one of the things that helped you lose 100 pounds is focusing on health instead of weight loss. So let's say we've put away the scale and we're now focusing on our healthy habits versus weight loss as the end goal. What are the best metrics we can use for tracking our progress?
This is a fantastic question. I think diet culture for so long has sold us that like losing weight and being thin is the same thing as getting healthy when they're like unequivocally not the same thing. You can certainly be thin and healthy, but it's not necessarily. You can be thin and very unhealthy. You can be overweight or obese and very healthy. And so I think that like getting rid of a number on the scale or like a size of blue jeans as a health goal, because it's not a health goal. It's a weight goal. But the health goals are what are actually going to reduce our risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's disease and chronic kidney disease and osteoporosis and osteoarthritis and frailty in our older years, right? They're going to improve our quality of life. And it just so happens that all of these healthy habits that improve health for most people will normalize their bodies to a metabolically healthy size. So often, it's not always, but often focusing on these health habits not only helps us to get healthier and improve our long-term health, but also can help to lose weight. But the focus is different, right? So rather than perseverating on a number, we're focused on building things that are sustainable, right? Like habits, right? Things that are automatic and easy that are improving our health so that it's not like white knuckling a diet until I can't anymore and driving the yo-yo, but instead focusing on building these like overall long-term healthy eating patterns, focusing on health-related behaviors as habits so that we can be supporting our health and it's no longer an on again, off again thing. It's just the default mode. So that is the goal. So how do we like measure our success along the way if we're not using the scale? So I think I put these into two different buckets. So things that I can feel and things my doctor can tell me, right? So like these two different buckets. So of the things like my doctor can tell me, right? I think, the type of regular screenings that are done with blood tests at an annual physical exam can be very instructive. So that could be things like serum cholesterol, right? LDL, HDL, total cholesterol, triglycerides. That can be things like fasting glucose, hemoglobin A1C, maybe a measurement of inflammation like C-reactive protein, maybe something like blood pressure, which you can get at-home blood pressure cuffs really inexpensively now, or you can like go to a pharmacy. They usually have a little place where you can go, sit in a cozy chair and have your blood pressure measured. So those are like the medical numbers that give you a much more accurate picture of your health and your risks for health problems than the weight on the scale. So definitely those are valuable. So we want to be ideally getting those annual physicals. And there's also at-home versions of a lot of these tests that you can do if you would rather track it yourself or track it more frequently than what your doctor will order. So that's like the numbers side. The other side of it is like, so how do I feel? So some of the things that I look at. So one of the things I look at is how well I sleep. That is a measurement not just of like how nutrient dense my diet is and whether or not my sugar intake is in a healthy range, but it's also a measurement of a lot of other health related behaviors like my activity, my stress management, right? Like all of that is also feeding into sleep quality. So, and sleep itself is an input, right? So sleep itself is also a really important healthy habit to form, right? So going to bed at a consistent time that's early enough to get the sleep that you need, 7 to 9 hours. And you don't have a say of whether or not it's 7 or 9. Like your sleep needs are somewhere in that range. And the way you sort of figure that out is by backing up your bedtime until you're getting that amount of sleep, and it's really easy to get up when your alarm goes off, or maybe you wake up a little bit before your alarm. Like that's how you figure out where in that range you are. And so that is like both an indicator that everything else is in a good place, but also itself like a really important habit. So how well did I sleep last night? Was I tossing and turning, or do I feel really well rested? And how easy is it to get out of bed? So how much energy do I have when I get out of bed, right? Like, am I drinking my coffee because there's no way I'm starting my day without caffeine because I feel so terrible? Or am I drinking my coffee because it's delicious, right? Like, which one of those things is true, right? Do I need it, or do I just want it because it's the comfort in a cup? So how easy is it to get out of bed and get going in the morning? I look at my resilience. So how easy is it for me to handle something unexpected? An extra work task that I wasn't planning for the day, right? Or like some extra thing on my to-do list that I hadn't planned, so I hadn't scheduled for, and now I got to try to fit this in and shove things around. Or I got out of the house a couple minutes late, and then I hit extra bad traffic, so now I'm going to be late for wherever I'm going. Like, how do I handle that? How do I handle my teenager being snarky, right? Like, how do I handle those like stressful events? Do I feel resilient, right? Do I feel like I'm able to just kind of like roll with it? Or do I feel like it's like wrecking my day, right? Like, and it's just gonna, now everything's ruined, right? I was stuck in traffic and now my whole day is off, right? So how resilient I am. I feel like another measurement of resilience is how easily do I laugh, right? If so we're a big fan of puns in this household, especially organic puns, like just ones that just come out of conversation. So if one of my kids or my husband says a pun, like, am I laughing or am I? I mean, I might fake my husband just to not encourage him. He doesn't need to think he's funny, but like, am I really laughing inside? Right? Like, am I enjoying this moment? How comfortable am I putting my phone down? Great way to measure resiliency. Can I stick my phone in my pocket while I'm hiking in the woods with my dog in the morning and not feel like I need to pull it out every second to check something, right? Just like how does it feel to be in my own head and to not have any external stimuli at this moment? It's a great way of measuring resiliency. Cravings is a great thing to look at. Am I really like dealing with a lot of food cravings, especially between meals or especially in the evening, right? That can be a sign that maybe I need to fix something. Maybe I'm exercising too much or not enough, or I didn't sleep well last night, or I didn't get enough nutrient-dense food earlier in the day. So is there like a habit tweak to make there? How does being physically active feel, right? Does it feel good? Or do I feel sluggish? Do I have like any, joint pain, right? Do I have anything that's really like making that not feel like a fun, life enhancing experience? And then, right, if you have any specific symptoms that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, how are those, right? Headaches or joint pain, muscle cramps, gastrointestinal symptoms, like how are those? Not that all of those things can be, cured. Like they can't, like, I believe in the power of healthy diet and lifestyle, but it does have limits to what it can do. It can't fix everything, but it can often reduce the severity or frequency of symptoms like that. So not just my fatigue and my energy levels, but like, how do I feel physically? Am I dealing with a lot of headaches? Am I, going to the bathroom way too much or way not enough, right? Like all of those things are reflective of the healthy habits that I'm trying to form, right? So am I eating 3 meals a day that are balanced, filling, nourishing, and satisfying, right? Where half of my plate is fruits and vegetables. A quarter of my plate is some kind of like fiber containing whole food, slow burning carbohydrate. And a quarter of my plate is the starch. And then a quarter of my plate is a protein food, right? Like building more meals like that, and building the consistency of those meals throughout the day. The health related behaviors, the activity, the sleep, the stress management. Am I being consistent with those things? Like all of those things will reflect like just how I feel navigating my day. And then maybe the last piece would be like concentration and focus. So our cognition is very influenced by diet quality and by lifestyle factors. Not that that's the only thing that can be going into, some brain fog. So also all of these, if it falls under the umbrella of a symptom, like go talk to your doctor and make sure there's not some kind of underlying cause that requires intervention. But am I able to focus? Or do I feel like every little distraction is squirrel, right? Like like am I able to like be good at my job? But maybe that's like focus on reading a book, right? Or focused on some other type of task, right? Like how is my focus? Am I very easily distracted? Or am I staying on task within whatever my norm is? Right. So I would change that criteria if I had ADHD, for example. But for me, one of the first things I notice when some type of habit is sliding is I notice that I just don't get as much done per unit time when I'm working. That is one of the very first things that I notice. So, those types of things we can feel day to day. I can feel, did it feel good to go for my hike this morning? Did I laugh when my kid said a joke? Did I need to listen to a podcast while I was doing the dishes, or was it okay to be in my own head, right? Like those types of things, I think, tell us so much about how consistent and effective we are being with the same habits that we were trying to build to support long-term health that can also result in weight loss. All of those things are reflected in just how it feels to move through the day.
Wow, I love that. And I love that you broke it down piece by piece and gave lots of examples because it can mean different things for different
Yeah.
people. And so I really appreciate that you did that. For the thing that you talked about with like the making a balanced meal, do you have a tool for that people could use?
I absolutely do. It's called the Nutrivore Meal Map, and it is included in my book, Nutrivore, The Radical New Science for Getting the Nutrients You Need from the Food You Eat. But if you're not interested in like the most comprehensive resource to improve your diet without dieting, if that's not what you want right now, and you just want the Nutrivore Meal Map, you can also get that for free for signing up for my free weekly newsletter, which is great bite-sized information about one nutrient, one food that contains that nutrient, a recipe that uses that food, and like one other like cool tip or trick on how to make sustainable, easy changes that improve long-term eating patterns.
Awesome. I will make sure those are both linked below in the show notes. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah.
Thank you.